September 2010 Slaughterhouse Merdanges brown cow saved Vanamali's fourth Care for cows in Vrindavan Care for cows in Vrindavana CFC trustees Hansarupa Dasa Vraja Mohan Dasa Hayavalabha Dasa Amit Tulani Rakesh Rahira patrons Mahanihai Swami Maharaja Radha Jivan Dasa CFC staff Kurmarupa Dasa Kesi Nisudana Dasa Braja Gopal Dasa, Switzerland, Puri Maharaja Radha Patti Dasa Laxmi Rupa Dasi, Denmark, Isani Devi Dasi, Holland, Siam Hari, Vijay, Ravi, Sukumar, Santosh, Tej Prakash, Ajit editor Kurmarupa. Dasa Care for Cows in Vrindavana is inspired by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada founder Acharya International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Dear friends, although the cow is beneficial because one can draw religious principles from her, she was now rendered poor and calfless. Her legs were being beaten by a Sudra. There were tears in her eyes, and she was hankering after some grass in the field. SB.1.17.3 The cow stands with tears in her eyes, the Sudra milkman draws milk from her artificially, and when there is no milk the cow is sent to be slaughtered. These greatly sinful acts are responsible for all the troubles in present society. People do not know what they are doing in the name of economic development. The influence of Kali will keep them in the darkness of ignorance. Despite all endeavors for peace and prosperity, they must try to see the cows and bulls happy in all respects. Foolish people do not know how one earns happiness by making the cows and bulls happy, but it is a fact by the law of nature. Let us take it from the authority of Srimad Bhagavatam and adopt the principles for the total happiness of humanity. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Jaya Sri Guru. Jaya Sri Gopala. Jaya Sri Gomata. Careforcows.org Care for Cows in Vrindavan is a charitable trust registered in India, USA, Holland, and Switzerland. The CFC staff Sri Govinda, he who gives pleasure to the cows. The purpose of Kirtana is to please Govinda. A crucial question arises: will Kirtana performed with slaughterhouse Merdanges please Govinda? Sri Merdanga is a sacred two-headed clay drum that is exclusively used to accompany devotional hymns chanted for the pleasure of Sri Govinda. The two heads as well as the bands that stretch them are traditionally made from the hide of a cow that died a natural death. Such hides are termed ahimsa, indicating they are obtained without violence. Ahimsa leather distinguishes Sri Merdanga from slaughterhouse Merdanges which use leather obtained by violence, himsa. This significant difference is vital as cows are Sri Govinda's favorite creatures and he does not tolerate their abuse. Sri Govinda's slaughterhouse Merdanges by Kurmarupa Dasa. Sri Merdanga considers cows worshipable. Merdanges are mostly fabricated in Sri Navadvipa Dhamma and Sri Vrindavan Dhamma, the foremost places of pilgrimage for devotees of Krishna. It is a known fact that India hosts more cows than any other country and is still well known as the place where the cow is considered sacred. Indeed, in rural India, many Hindu families keep cows and regard them as their family members. It is not uncommon that cows and calves are kept in the house and often treated as pets. Thus, when a family cow dies of old age, the leather can be used to make merdanges, harnesses for oxen and horses and other such purposes. In times past ahimsa leather was not hard to get. However, with the advancement of Kali Yuga the Vedic culture is on the wane. The residents of India are losing their culture as Western values are being foisted on them by the mass media. One significant indicator of this trend is the fact that India is surprisingly the second largest exporter of beef in the world and aspiring to become the leading exporter of cow leather. Surprising, because cow slaughter is against the law in most Indian states. As indicated in several of our previous newsletters, illegal abduction of cows in India is commonplace. Cows are transported in inhumane ways to makeshift as well as modern slaughterhouses to be processed for their meat and skin. Thus, whatever leather we find commercially available today is obtained from the brutal mistreatment of cows. I am aware of only one source of ahimsa leather in Vraja, and it does not come close to supplying the increasing demand for Merdanga heads. Thus the vast majority of leather available today is himsa, and therefore unacceptable for making Merdanges. During the last 40 years there has been extensive international propaganda to curtain playing Sri Merdanga in humane transportation of cows, educate people regarding the worship of Lord Krishna in the process of Kirtana as taught by Lord Sri Krishna Caitanya Mahaprabhu. The result of the propaganda is a growing interest in performing Kirtana, which of course increases the demand for Merdangas. The increased demand for Merdangas prompts an increase in production, but unfortunately the profit motive prevents the manufacturers and buyers from questioning the sources of the leather they purchase. While the hide sellers may claim their leather is ahimsa, it does not serve the business of the Merdanga makers to investigate the veracity of their claims. Since Merdangas made with ahimsa leather appear exactly as those made with himsa leather, what results, at best, Krishna regards the cows as more important than the Brahmanas is an unspoken agreement not to inquire into the source of the leather, or at worst, the formation of quite astonishing yet effective rationalizations which allow all parties concerned to indulge in the production, sale, and use of slaughterhouse Merdangas with a clear conscience. Since ahimsa leather sources are sparse and himsa leather sources abundant, any simpleton can conclude that the great majority of commercially produced Merdangas are products of the slaughterhouse and thus unfit to use in glorifying Govinda. We must dupe ourselves in order to justify purchasing and using slaughterhouse Merdangas. In short, to deal in the Merdanga trade today there is a desperate need for self-deception. What are the alternatives? Buffalo, camel, and goat leather are also available but are rejected because they are not as soft and do not produce as sweet a sound, and of course the nagging question still lingers if those hides are obtained without violence. If they are obtained by violence, they are also unsuitable. Synthetic drum heads are a safe alternative, but they are looked down upon by musicians with distinguished ears, for they do not sound as sweet. But to whom do they not sound as sweet? To the musician, or to Krishna? Is it the sound of the drum that pleases Krishna, or is it the devotion with which his names are chanted? Since the purpose of Kirtana is to please Krishna, the crucial question is, does Kirtana performed with slaughterhouse Merdangas please him? Does he accept such glorification? That people use slaughterhouse Merdangas clearly reveals that their priorities are not proper. In the Nectar of Devotion we read that Ganges water touched by fingernails is not fit for bathing the deity, nor is a flower kept in an unclean pot fit to be offered to him. In Ramayana we read how Vasistha requested Lord Rama to defeat the Rakshasas who kept polluting the sacrificial arena to prevent the sage from completing the yajna effectively. Are not slaughterhouse Merdangas polluted? If so, is not the Kirtana yajna thwarted by their use? We do not use shoes, wallets, belts, or clothing made from slaughtered animals. We shun ghee polluted with animal fat, milk mixed with chemicals and chalk, sweets with contaminated silver foil, but we accept slaughterhouse Merdangas. Some argue that the cows are largely slaughtered for meat and that the skins are only a byproduct. This is at best an uneducated guess, as even in Vraja trucks have been arrested full. Is it the sound of the drum that pleases Krishna, or is it the devotion with which his names are chanted? Of calves whose skins are much sought after by the shoe industry. Others argue that since the cows are being slaughtered for meat, if we use their skin in the glorification of the Lord, at least they will get some benefit despite their unfortunate end. This insidious rationalization cloaks the sin of animal slaughter in the virtue of mercy, its opposite. It's a scriptural fact that animal slaughter and meat eating destroy mercy, one of the pillars of religion. Would we claim that killing our innocent mother and offering the inheritance for religious purposes would serve her benefit? Why wait until the cows are slaughtered to benefit them? Why not benefit them by preventing their slaughter? Why not benefit them by protecting them and using their milk, dung, urine, ghee, and yogurt in the service of the Lord while still alive? Why not boycott slaughterhouse leather to decrease the demand for cowhide and in this way be part of the solution instead of part of the problem? Certainly the above options indicate greater concern for cows than those arguments which claim to benefit them by using their skin for Merdangas. By purchasing slaughterhouse Merdangas we increase the demand for cowhide and thus encourage slaughter and become implicated. This thoroughly defeats the purpose of Kirtana, which, again, is to please he who gives pleasure to the cows. Remember, those who are implicated in the slaughter of cows are the ones who raise them for that purpose, the ones who transport them, the ones who kill them, the ones who sell the meat and skin, the ones who cook the meat, the ones who eat the meat, in short, everyone who profits in any way from the slaughter. Boycott slaughterhouse leather to decrease the demand for cowhide. Face it. If we use slaughterhouse merdanges, we are implicated in cow killing. BAS. If we are accomplices to cow killing, how can we claim to be devoted to he who pleases the cows? The best course of action is to obtain ahimsa leather to make merdanges. If ahimsa leather is not available, we should use synthetic drum heads until it is. We should be prepared to protect cows until they die a natural death, and in this way acquire enough ahimsa leather to fulfill our requirements. It is unacceptable to use slaughterhouse merdanges, especially when synthetic alternatives are available. Using slaughterhouse merdanges because they sound sweet indicates that our first priority is not to please Krishna, but to please our musically trained ears. Insisting on violence-free merdanges despite their so-called inferior sound indicates our priority is to please Krishna. If we insist on using slaughterhouse merdanges and do not concern ourselves with whether or not Krishna is pleased by it, we slip on the razor's edge and stumble into Niyamagraha, following the rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement. Rupa Goswami declares this to be Gopal, the protector of cows, one of the 6 faults that destroys bhakti. And if despite knowing how the cow suffers pain and fear after her throat is slit and she lies bleeding to death, how her body quivers after being disemboweled and having her hide ripped off, and if after all that, we stretch her skin over the clay shell and tune it to our fancy until it sounds sweet, we have achieved a level of insensitivity which indicates we have already lost the quality of mercy and are well on our way in becoming irreligious despite our well-meaning and wholehearted participation in Kirtana. Keshvara saves Kesava Dasa is from Mumbai but now lives in Chaitanya Vihar, Vrindavan, which is one of the prime areas cow rustlers frequent. Thus, Kesava keeps an eye on the abandoned cows in his neighborhood. During the monsoon the cows have no trouble getting the food they require as the rains inspire vegetation to grow all over the roadsides. Unfortunately, they are still exposed to the danger of speeding motorists. Kesava noticed that this brown cow had a bleeding wound full of maggots above and below her tail area. He befriended her and accepted the difficulty of coaxing her along the 2-kilometer walk, a brown cow to care for cows. Once she settled in, our staff laid her on one of the only dry spots in the barnyard and began to clean her wounds and remove the maggots. It turns out that she is a very good and cooperative patient. 3 days of dressing her wounds was all it took to get her cured, and that despite the pecking of several crows. Above, Vanamali. Vanamali's 4th Vanamali has been with us for more than 7 years. She was given to us accompanied by her first calf named Samba, who is now one of our working oxen in Belvan. Her second calf was also a bull named Sravan, who is sponsored by Dr. Sanjay Daya from England. Her third calf was a Kadasi, who is one of the healthiest calves in the herd, as Vanamali decided not to let anyone milk her so that a Kadasi could have all of it to herself. Vanamali is observing the same policy with her fourth calf, the mischievous and pretty female calf you see below. Vanamali's fourth calf has not been named, as we are reserving the right to name her to the lucky person who decides to sponsor her. At present the calf is enjoying the attention only the youngest in the herd are privileged to. On Janmashtami 2010, Sri Sri Radharamana was bathed in 1,500 liters of cow milk. Care for Cows was honored to supply a small portion of that milk. Sri Sri Radharamana Abhimanyu Dasa Abhirama Dasa Advanced Marketing Center, Ajay Jain, Alexei Tsalikov, Alok Shenoy, Amit Goswami, Andre Suanik, Anonymous, Anshul Mehra, Arlene Sherbo, Bhakta Vidyasagar, BJ Parker, Bonnie Hamdi, Carl and Stella Hersig, Chandrika Pasupati, Charulata Shah, Christian Kastner, Daniel Lafleur, Deborah Klein, Devender Kumar, Danraj Gurvara, Dhruva Maharaja Dasa, Doyle Govinda Dasa, Anvar Ajanovic, Essential Herbs and Vitamins, Frank Cohen, Gauranga Priya Dasi, Hans Avatar and Yogamaya. Harshavardhan Raja, Julia Erdem, Irina Lukyanenko, Jagannath Dasa, Yanavi Dasi, Jeffrey Walian, Jeffrey Walters, Javakan, Yoga for Everyone John Kavoyoto Jurgen Jensen Joseph Alman Kantilal Shivlal Keshvara Priya Dasi Kitri Waterman Krishna Priya Dasi Lalit Agarwal Lenki Chan Lilia Tonavalusi Matanan Madhava Priya Dasi Mandira Mani and Sri Govinda Mani Shankar Mark Lee Mayapur Fiorentino Michael Meshuris Michael Tot Mich Maitan Alini Gagar Namit Bandari Nayan Rupar Elia Nicholas Pasada. May cows stay in front of me. May cows stay behind me. May cows stay on both sides of me. May I always reside in the midst of cows. Hari Bhaktavila 16.252 The cows send their heartfelt thanks to those who assisted during August 2010. Thank you from the cows Nidhyana and Dharma Dasa Panir Selvam Kanagaratnam Paul Musu Philip Weeks Podolianu Irina Priya Krishnan Radha Jivan Dasa Radha Patti Dasa Raghunath Zaldivar Rahul Sharma Ramabhadra Dasa Razamandala Dasi Ranak Patel Rohini Sudha Prabhu Sasameda Dasi Samruddha Sawardekar Swata Ajano Victorina Redinger Tomaz Zalanik Tracy Molina Trisha Wolf Keaton Tusta Krishna Dasa Vananath Dasa Venkata Venkateswaran Vicky Knox Vikas Shah Vishvambara Priya Dasi Vyasapada Dasa William Unya Janavakaya Dasa